Good evening and God bless. Thanks for joining me tonight. This is Street Talk. I'm Father Russ Carmichael, and with me tonight, my co-host, Ambria Moore, is right beside me, and I have a great guest tonight with me. Okay, with me is Stevie Doherty, who is the author of the book, The Execution Squad Fraud Bum Beefed, okay, which we're going to talk about tonight. But before I get into Steve's book, I'm sure some of you have maybe seen the tape show on Channel 24 this past season. Before I get in this is a real controversial program tonight. We're going to be talking about capital punishment. I'm going to hold off on calls for about 15 minutes because I really want to talk to Stevie about about the problem with capital punishment. And I want to say a couple of things because we've really had a debate here in this state where we were going to do away with the death penalty, but then we got it. The governor vetoed the bill, and we're going to end up with another debate again. We're promised that they're going to bring that back after a real struggle with the question of capital punishment. I want to read a couple of things. It is the ultimate cruel and unusual punishment to let victim families believe, to hold out hope that a death penalty will be imposed when the people behind it know it will never happen. And that's what Representative Lawler said, okay, well, through one of these debates. And there are certain crimes so heinous, so fundamentally revoking to our humanity that the death penalty is warranted. That's what Governor Russ said. Okay, the question in the debate about capital punishment in our state has been raging for quite a while. Tonight we're going to talk about, again, we have Stevie here, execution squad fraud, bum beefed. Now this book is going to talk about how Stevie's going to talk about how people get framed, how many people that we've had that have been sentenced to death and were innocent of the crimes. And it's something that as a society we wish would not happen. But this is the problem with our system the way it stands right now. So give us a few minutes and I'm going to go right to Stevie. I'm going to go right to you. Okay, and I know there's an opening on the book.
Yeah, that's...
And why don't we start with that introduction in your book about
because this
capital.
basically has... The book is about what the system can do to you.
Right.
And it really didn't get into the death penalty, but ironically enough, the opening happened to be into it. The introduction of the book is, in November 1998, the first National Conference on wrongful convictions and the death penalty was convened in Chicago, ironically on Friday the 13th. Among those present were 30 out of a known 75 former death row inmates who had been exonerated of the crimes for which they had been convicted. In less than 4 years, that figure rose to over 100 individuals who were exonerated after having been sentenced to die, and the numbers continue to rise. As astounding as some people might find that figure to be, the number would have been far greater if it included those who had been wrongfully convicted of capital crimes in states that did not have the death penalty and had been sentenced to life in prison instead, such as the wrongful convictions in the notorious execution squad case that came out of Walpole State Prison in Massachusetts in 1977. I know because I was one of them. If we had had the death penalty in Massachusetts back then, I'd most likely be dead by now, executed for a crime that I not only had nothing to do with, but a crime for which I was framed by Massachusetts' alleged justice system.
And that's again, we want to talk about. The other thing is Washington. One group says that 16 executed in the U.S. were probably innocent, and this was in October 25th of 2000. The American system of capital punishment has taken the lives of 16 men despite compelling evidence of their innocence, according to a report by death penalty foes scheduled to be released Thursday. It takes, and people need to know, it takes 10, 12, 14 years for these cases to get through the courts, rightfully, as you were going to talk about how long your case took, okay? And one of the people that you're going to talk about was my crime partner is in your
Sort of a classic example.
Is a classic of, and that's Larry Griffin's case,
Yeah, that's,
who got executed in Missouri, right?
St. Louis, yeah.
Right, right.
Here is it. Okay, well, that's the Fitzgerald case, yeah.
If you don't have it, I have information.
No, I have it. I was thinking I had been talking about Willie Bennett's case earlier. That's
right.
Okay, your old partner there, Robert Fitzgerald.
Saved my life twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who, ironically, they admitted was the real source in the case they framed me for.
Yes,
they never
right.
mentioned his name. Yeah, no. He was just. It was just, and that only came out long afterwards. You see, in my case, as you know, it started out with this big phony headline: "Execution Squad discovered in Walpole."
Right, right.
And filled with lies.
This was at the time, and for some of the reason we go into 3 prisons. And I mean, my shows are really for the prisoners out there and people who, that they can change their lives and everything. That's why it's so important to us for these type of things, okay? And it was at the time when we were organizing in Walpole, when the guys went out, and you paid the price, like my partner Bobby DeLello, you guys paid the price for our organizing that we did, and this was one of the ways.
Well, what happened, I was doing time for a bank that I robbed, never denied it.
We don't deny what we're doing wrong.
I'm on my way out the door, I was already approved to get out and work release, and all of a sudden they snatched 9 of us out, and turns out that they had this big front page story, execution squad discovered in Walpole, filled with lies. The case is sort of like a classic example of where you have like a politically ambitious district attorney who is now a United States congressman named William Delahunt. He's the district attorney that framed me. The state trooper, William Bergen, he's the one that was his parrot. He was the one in the Globe telling all the lies. And but then a couple of side papers, the Real Paper and the Phoenix, they get into digging and digging and digging, and they came up with all the lies. And it turned out that the source, they were quoting the state police that he was their source, he was their source. No, it wasn't. It was your old partner, Robert Fitzgerald. He was one of their original sources. Never met him in my life, but we had a connection, so he threw me in there. He was married to a girl that walked away from him when she found out he was a rat, and she was a friend of mine, and she was old partner of mine's widow. But so I got thrown in there, although I didn't know him. And guy she was visiting up in Walpole, he got thrown in there. Anyways, there were 9 of us, and it turns out that for coming up with that story, he was doing time down Deer Island. They let him out, and they had him up at a big hotel over in town, Boston, and then after that, they enrolled him in Rent-A-Rat, and well, you people call it the Witness Protection Program, yeah. Rent-A-Rat is what it's known in some places, because, you know, when the honorable government, Big Brother, needs somebody to testify, they go there. So they had him in one of the Rent-A-Rat's motels out in St. Louis, and a guy by the name of Larry Griffith got busted for killing somebody, and so they...
Well, see, I want to make sure. See, I want to make sure that our audience understands that what happens. As I said, I happen to personally know about Bobby's situation, who is now passed away. He's now dead, and that a man died because of his his testimony in '95. Larry Griffith, who he swore did a crime, then recanted he did not do it, and he was then they went to court, and this poor guy. They didn't even know that Bobby was in the Witness Protective Program.
Oh, no, they never let them know that.
They didn't know that. And then after, Bobby got off a drug charge for testifying.
Actually, he had been convicted. Fitzgerald had been convicted of heroin possession, auto theft, armed robbery, and possession of burglary tools, and was facing charges on 4 counts of credit card fraud in St. Louis.
That's right.
The day Griffin was convicted, Fitzgerald was released by St. Louis County and for time served.
For time served, I know. So I mean, we have a system where people are smart, and Bobby was definitely not stupid, knew how to manipulate the system, how to identify key people that the law enforcement wanted and would just as soon see them put away, and they didn't care about lying. And we have many people out there that know how to manipulate this system, so therefore justice is not really justice. You can...